Block 1 Introduction. The collective, institutional and industrialized violence of German National Socialism at the beginning of the 21st century deeply shook the previously existing image of a human being who was constantly cultivating and improving according to the humanistic model as civilization increased. How could acts of violence on such a scale take place among a civilized nation? Even in the face of these atrocities, art and culture seem to have become questionable. It is therefore necessary that we revise our self-image and fundamentally expand our knowledge of human nature to understand how violence becomes possible, and thus also how violence can be prevented. We can no longer undo the murders of the National Socialist regime, but we can use the extreme level of violence as an opportunity to reflect in depth on our own nature and history. If we recognize connections that can prevent violence in the future, then the many victims of this time will not have been in vain. The aim of this block is to promote such a discussion and thus help us understand ourselves better as humans. This understanding should enable us to live more in harmony with ourselves, our environment and others. If we succeed in using the violence of National Socialism as an opportunity to promote such an understanding, then we would subsequently be able to give meaning to the suffering of the victims. Personally, as a German and therefore a descendant of those who were involved in this violence, I see such a confrontation as a possibility for atonement, but at the same time as an opportunity for an urgently needed positive change in a present marked by new outbreaks of violence. Method. For this examination of human nature, which uses the barbarity of National Socialism as an impetus to explore the mental origins of violence, I will refer to studies from different disciplines, which I will connect with one another. I will use studies from neurobiology, psychotherapy and psychology, sociology, history and anthropology, literature, music, art, and media studies to provide an understanding of trauma and violence and to place this in the context of European history and culture. For this multi- and interdisciplinary approach, it will be necessary to reproduce some detailed and complicated processes in a simplified form. The focus will be on illustrating basic principles, while precise details cannot always be mentioned. However, I will refer to the respective studies in the text and provide details of the authors and their publications at the end of each block, so that those research findings can be accessed in their original. The theoretical part of this block is based on a doctoral thesis published in English in 2013, as well as further subsequent research. The block series is divided into 3 parts, with the first dealing with the causal connection between trauma and violence, the second part considering German history and culture in this context, and the third part drawing conclusions for our present and future.